All right, folks, welcome to the big show. The news today regarding the missing Malaysian airliner is that torn and riveted debris has washed up on shore on the beaches of Australia. And the word we get is that it has to be transported to the experts to see what it is, but people have taken pictures of it. But the word is the more they see, the less they believe that it's likely that that has anything to do with the missing jetliner. So, of course, if anything breaks on Flight 370, we will let you know. But I wouldn't anticipate anything coming very, very soon on that. We could only hope for the best, but it doesn't appear that that debris is related to the plane at this point. U.S. troops arriving in Poland and elsewhere in the region to do some training and to show Russia that we're taking all of this seriously. We'll talk about that with Senator Ron Johnson and, of course, Richard Pearl later in the hour. The Department of Justice announces a clemency overhaul for those who are in jail for drug offenses and have served more than 10 years. The great Andy McCarthy and I will go in depth on that later in the show. But, you know, I want you to watch this to refresh your memory about the passing of Barack Obama's aunt, who he wrote about in his book with great affection. Watch this.
The death of President Obama's controversial aunt.
She drew national attention when she insisted that she had the right to live in taxpayer-funded housing in South Boston and then went to court to fight deportation. Phil LaPac is here with more tonight. Phil?
Zaitonia Nyango's immigration lawyer confirms to News Center 5 that she died last night after a long battle with cancer and respiratory ailments. She was just 61. Auntie, as she was known to her friends, raised a family in Kenya. She was the stepsister of the president's late father, Barack Obama Sr. She visited the U.S. twice, once visiting her nephew, then Senator Barack Obama, then moving to South Boston in 2000, where she fought for political asylum. In 2004, her case was denied, and she was nearly deported, but later won and obtained a green card.
Okay, folks. Here's from the New York Times today via the Weekly Standard. After Zaitonia Nyango, the woman President Obama once called Auntie, died in South Boston nursing home this month, her closest relatives gathered her belongings at a nearby apartment. There, framed photographs with her, with the president, covered the wall. Weeping before a polished wood coffin at her wake this past Saturday, they described Miss Nyango, the half-sister of the president's father, as, quote, the spirit of the Obama family, and talked about raising money to send her body back to Kenya. Mr. Obama helped pay funeral expenses and sent a condolence note. Ms. Nyango's family members said, but the president did not attend. He was golfing. President was golfing and did not attend his aunt's funeral. That's all I'm going to say. Senator joins us, but I want us to both watch this.
Ukraine has a long history of being, either part of the Soviet Union or within that sphere, common language, etc. So I don't think it also behooves us to tell the Ukraine what to do or to, I'm not excited about saying, hey, let's put the Ukraine in NATO to rub Russia's nose in it. I think that some on our side are so stuck in the Cold War era that they want to tweak Russia all the time, and I don't think that's a good idea.
All right, he doesn't think it's a good idea. That, of course, is Rand Paul. Joining us now is the senator's colleague, Senator Ron Johnson. He's back with us, Republican from the great state of Wisconsin, also a member of the Senate Commerce Committee and Foreign Relations Committee. We have issues to discuss dealing with both. Senator, welcome back, sir.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's great to talk to you. Now, let's first talk about the troop movement, if you want to call it that, and, of course, the United States sending troops to Eastern Europe, troops in Poland and across Eastern Europe. Not great numbers, certainly, and they're there for training purposes, which I'm told is not all that unusual, but this obviously is being done to send a message to Russia.
Well, we need to understand that Vladimir Putin has amassed tens of thousands of troops on Ukraine's eastern border and has taken over Crimea, is threatening all of Ukraine, as well as the other Baltic states and the former satellite states of the Soviet Union. Unless we act, unless we show far greater strength and resolve, you continue to threaten and undermine those democracies that we should be supporting. We're America. We have the value of freedom and of democracy, and we need to support people that want to rid themselves of the corrupt governments that were really a holdover from the former Soviet Union and are trying to establish functioning democracies for themselves.
Yeah, you know, Rand Paul's saying a lot of his colleagues, and you're his colleague. I don't know if he's referring to you, and I disagree with what he's saying. Have the Cold War mentality holding over? You know, I could point to other stories out there today where 2 Russian planes were turned back as they approached Scotland. Jets from the Netherlands and Denmark also scrambled. We had a Russian warplane, flying over low over a U.S. Navy ship recently. So, I mean, Russia is taking, set aside Ukraine, in combination with that, they're taking very provocative actions here.
Yeah, we can't keep our head buried in the sand. You know, we did that when Al-Qaeda declared war on us, and we just didn't want to acknowledge the fact that they were, and as a result, we had 9/11, and we've seen the slaughter of thousands of American citizens. So we live in a very dangerous world, and let's face it, Europe, America, NATO, we don't want to be re-engaged in the Cold War, but that's what Vladimir Putin is doing. And unless we show strength and resolve, Vladimir Putin will continue to act aggressively with an expansionary tendency with impunity because we are doing nothing. So I heard Vice President Biden talk about it's time for Putin to stop talking and start acting. I think we should be basically saying the same thing to this administration. You're saying the right things, but Vladimir Putin is not going to respond to words. He will only respond to action, and we've got to be, I think, far more robust in our actions and our show of strength and resolve if we're going to deter him, which is really our primary goal. We got to change his calculus so that he doesn't go just one step further.
Yeah, and then you took the word resolve out of my mouth. I was just going to ask you one final question on this. Do you think the NATO resolve is strong, and that is a real line in the sand that NATO will stick to if Putin tries to tinker with NATO countries?
You know, Steve, it's a concern I have. You know, let's face it, we had the Budapest Memorandum signed by UK, United States, and Russia that basically was going to assure the border integrity of Ukraine in exchange for their giving up their nuclear weapons. Now, what kind of signals does that send to other countries that might potentially want to give up their nuclear weapons or not acquire them if, you know, based on those assurances from, let's face it, the world's superpowers, that we just totally basically abrogate those assurances. So I am highly concerned about the next 3 3/4 years or 2 3/4 years under this president, because he's not showing the kind of strength to resolve. His foreign policy has always been to lead from behind, which most people view that as following, and that doesn't work very good in the world.
All right, let's switch gears domestically on the other frontier, and you now have 38 Republican lawmakers on board with your lawsuit challenging the health insurance subsidies provided to lawmakers and their staffers. We talked about this when you filed it. How encouraging is this to you?
Oh, it's very encouraging. Listen, there's a pretty short time frame from when the amicus brief was written and how much time I really had to really talk to individual members. So what you have is 38 Republicans in Congress that are putting their personal financial interests aside, recognizing how incredibly important it is that we highlight the lawlessness of this administration, how, in the words of Jonathan Turley, we are at a tipping point. We're at a constitutional crisis because of the unilateral governance and executive actions of this administration. So, you know, I'm just really pleased that 38 of my colleagues understood how important a point we're trying to make with my lawsuit.
Now, this suit, I mean, in reality, this suit could go on for years, correct?
It could, if you know, particularly as it goes through the appeals process. Hopefully, in terms of the first ruling, which is about getting a standing, in other words, allowing this case to actually go before a court of law and receive the judicial review that these separation of powers issues just sorely need, that'll probably take the next couple of months. I think the government gets to respond to our answer to its motion to dismiss, and then hopefully the judge will rule in our favor. I'm very optimistic. I've got a crack legal team, did a great job filing the lawsuit and also responding to the motion to dismiss. I'm very optimistic.
And some of those lawmakers who signed on include Senator Ted Cruz, John McCain, Saxby Chambliss, Mark Kirk of Illinois, Tim Scott, Marsha Blackburn, Tom Cotton, David Jolly, Thomas Massey, and Matt Salmon. So you got a good, very impressive list there. Let me ask you. I mean, you know, going forward, we've heard the president, say over and over again, and it's kind of contradictory, and I don't know how he squares these or reconciles these. On one hand, the debate is over. This Obamacare is here to stay. But on the other hand, hey, I've always been open to suggestions to fix this, when we know that's not true. I mean, there's one Republican congressman in particular who keeps coming on the show. He's running a clock on his website. He took Obama up on his offer months ago. Hey, I would like to meet with you. I do have ideas. And of course, he's never gotten a response. So going forward, we're stuck with this until what? I mean, we're stuck with this until 2016, if you have a Senate and a House and a president that's Republican, or can something change after November? What's the deal here with this?
Well, I tell you what, if Republicans get a majority in the Senate, we can do a whole lot more to stop the lawlessness of this administration. I mean, I think that is the fact. You've got something like the Congressional Review Act, which we could actually pass measures that would prohibit the implementation of these large regulations that have such a huge financial impact. Now, of course, the president would have to sign that the way the law is currently written, but it could really, hopefully, make the political point and restrain this president to a certain extent. But no, Steve, it's really about elections, and we have to win a whole lot more of them. And again, I'm just heartened by the number of members that joined that amicus brief. I think it did a pretty good job of unifying the Republican Party there.
Well, one more. The president and the Democrats keep talking about individual cases. They're bringing people forward that never had health care before, that never had insurance before. These stories, which are true for these people, but I mean, I'm reading day after day. I got one story here from CNBC talking about how the costs and the risks of going on an Obamacare are keeping people from getting any health insurance at all. I have dozens of widows dropped from health care due to Obamacare in Alabama. I have brain surgery patients. Obamacare plan denies meds, and drops their doctors. I got California, where people are signed up for Obamacare, and they have no doctor. No one will take their Obamacare. They don't know what to do. I really think it's incumbent upon the Republicans to bring these people forward almost on a weekly basis to show the public the horror stories here.
Actually, Steve, probably on a daily basis on the floor of the Senate, we are reading those heart-wrenching emails from real people that have real damage being caused by Obamacare. People who've lost doctors and treatments that have kept them alive, contrary to President Obama's promises. So
right.
There are real Americans, millions of being harmed. Of course, there are people benefiting from it, but what we need to point out, anybody who's benefiting from Obamacare, somebody's paying the cost of that.
Yeah.
Either younger people who are paying higher than market rate premiums, or our kids and grandkids who are going to have to pay for this with the debt burden that's being placed on their back because we can't afford this. So now there's pluses and minuses, but it's primarily minus, and the tip of the iceberg has only been seen on the disastrous Obamacare.
Senator, very, very proud to talk to you. Good luck with the lawsuit and unsolicited advice. But with all due respect, put some faces to those stories after you read them. Bring them out to the steps of the Capitol for a press conference where you can, and let the people see these people tell their stories in their own words. I think it would add a whole lot.
I agree. We're doing our Victims of Government video series.
Okay.
So
Senator, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That's Senator Ron Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back, we'll talk about all of this with the panel. Oh, the panel. Coming up on Newsmax Television.